Okay, like I said, my other video is a country of roads. I'm going to take two topics here, which I believe are interconnected. One is the employment crisis, or, you know, they can't find enough people to fill jobs or to work anymore. Okay, and the other is the immigration crisis, where everybody was freaking out. There's supposedly 10, 20,000 people under a bridge that came into the U.S. They're under this bridge, and it's, the border is just being overwhelmed with people. All right, so how are the two connected? Well, a lot of this stuff confuses me. First thing is, you don't know who to believe or what news article or what's going on. You don't know what's true. And, granted, some of the things they're saying create this. There's some truth to it, but, it can't really be the reason. All right, so let's take number one. Back when they shut everything down because of the health crisis, and people were out of a job. In other words, people who worked in bars, restaurants, and that, because they were shut down, they could not open. Okay, auditoriums, entertainment, movie theaters. I don't think they ever opened the one movie theater we had here in town. It's still closed. Okay, they shut these down. People were unemployed, and so they gave that $300 extra relief, COVID relief check. And a lot of people say, well, these people made more on unemployment than they did when they worked there. And I know two people, this is true. This happened to them, and it's true, they did. But here's the thing. That $300 relief check only lasted so long. Okay, and it was stopped in most places. I don't really believe that it's still going on, but you still hear people saying, well, it's because if they're unemployed, they're making money, and it's more money than what they did, so they're not going back to work. Yes, the people did make more money, but I don't believe they're still getting that $300 bonus in their unemployment. At least not in my state, they're not. I don't know if this is going on or that. So, first of all, that is not a valid reason. That was temporary. And actually, the one individual I knew, that when the unemployment stopped and they called him back to work, he would go back to work and he was getting 2 hours a day. And then it turned into where he couldn't collect unemployment. The employer had him working there, and then he was really not making money. And there's really nothing he could do other than go find another job. Okay, which this may be something in there. So I don't believe they're getting the check. And then when someone did analyzing this, if the $300 difference, was the key factor, in other words, you're stating these people have a very extremely low paying job, raise the wages, they'll come back to work. And several companies have. McDonald's, Walmart, these huge employers have increased the wages for some jobs. Still got a problem. All right? So then we look at the other idea that the workers have a Zen, which is all part of this weird Marxist takeover of our country, that, well, this COVID thing or the crisis gave people a break and they realized that they have more potential and they're out of these dead-end jobs and they're going to do something else with their life and they don't need this. Well, again, there's probably some truth to it. People had a crappy job, they got laid off, they were getting some relief and money, and it gave them time to assess things, organize their life, and maybe then once things opened up, and I've seen where people have said, oh, I found a better job and make more money and do what I like to do. Okay, that's probably true, but to the degree to where it is a crisis, there's too many job openings, and then what did these people do? Go find jobs elsewhere? I kind of find that hard to believe. okay? So, to me, I have no idea what's going on, and in my own personal thing, when I've heard this, even though I have not looked for a job and I'm not aware of the employment conditions, I did see in just about every place I went a little sign on the door, if you help wanted, please apply inside, fill out an application. In the sporting goods stores, in restaurants, all of these businesses, I have seen that. So this, obviously, that part of it must be true, okay? And when I went to the local Lowe's to buy a stove, and of course it was on a weekend, but, talking to the people that helped arrange the sale and the delivery of the appliance, they're all new. And the girl at the cash register, I asked her a couple questions and she went into a panic. They're all new. Even the bank, must be the employees are new, okay? So there is this weird job turnover, and there is a shortage of people. There's a lot of jobs open, okay? And I don't know, I seen a list or something. I guess skilled labor is number one, but they had the food services, the hotel services, people who work in restaurants and bars. Teachers were on there, truck drivers, but number one was skilled labor. Carpenters, builders, people like that, they don't have anybody. So, don't know the cause. It sounds pretty fishy to me. And then some people just flat out say, and again this goes back like any other video I made, our society is eroding. In other words, people don't have the drive or ambition to go do a menial task and believe that being a plumber or a carpenter is beneath them, okay? And there's a stigmatism that that's not what I want to do, even though it pays money. Okay, so that is a social problem, okay, which is turning into an economic problem. And I think that's the key. Now, everyone went crazy that there were these, and this is where it's strange. It's one thing to say a bunch of people from Mexico and South America are marching across the border. They do that all the time. They had that big thing a few years ago. When Trump was still president, where 10,000 people were marching in the line and coming to the border, and no one's going to stop them, they're coming to America. The big political thing, crisis, okay? And now, with that, like I mentioned in the last video, with the Haitian people. Now, the strange thing about this, and other people have mentioned this to me, it's not like a bunch of people coming from Mexico, where they just pick up and they're still on land and walk across the border. Okay, they can walk from where they are. Okay, these people live on an island nation. Okay, so basically they didn't walk across a section of the Atlantic Ocean to get here. They had to fly into, I guess, Mexico. So, A, that cost money to fly, or how they got to Mexico, I don't know. Maybe they brought them on a cruise ship or something. I have no idea. But they had to be transported from this island country to Mexico. And then they crossed the border in numbers. I don't know, 10,000 people or something. And they're all underneath a bridge waiting. Okay, if this was some kind of panic rush or something, why are they all there and waiting? And when a couple people tried posting a video using drones, or was on the news, they did something where the drones were not allowed to fly over this area during this crisis. That was done by the federal government. That airspace was restricted. And if you got caught flying a drone there, you were going to get arrested and fined, which I find rather curious. And of course, the one person, their thing is this is an attack on the sovereignty of the country, all this other stuff. They should send the army down there and contain this. This is gonna, how do you control this? Well, his point was pretty correct, but then I started thinking, what if this is not an accident? What if this is not just a bunch of people who came from, like I said, this is where, when you're looking at these things, the point I'm trying to make is you got to kind of step back and look at this and analyze it to where, okay, none of this makes sense. So how do the events lead up to something that does make a reasonable conclusion or make sense out of this whole situation? And most people say, oh, well, it's just the government's failed. These people are here. This is a danger. It's going to turn into a mess. But what happens if these people were brought here for the intent of filling these job positions that nobody wants? Because one person did mention in Haiti, the average yearly wage is $1,200, $1,200 a year. That's how impoverished that nation is. That's what a person earns on average, $1,200. So if you bring him here and tell him he's going to go fry burgers at McDonald's for $15 an hour, which is $30,000 a year, it's almost 30 times more a year. So take your wages, times it by 30. All right, let's even times it by 20. If you go to this country, you're going to make 20 times more in a year than you do where you are. And it's kind of curious to me that these people were kind of brought here and waiting. And then, like I said, they're going to be interjected into different communities, and it's going to be the problem of the communities to take care of them. But here's the thing, now you got your ready labor force. Okay, even like here in North Carolina. I don't care what company you go to, but if you go to any reputable, like people who did my roof, it's a national company. They have branches in several states. It's not just a local contractor. This is a, pretty respectable, decent, large company. None of the crews putting the roof on, okay, were, can't really say, but they were not really Americans. They were all Mexicans, okay? And don't know if they're illegal. Some of them didn't speak English, because when I tried talking to them, they didn't understand me, and I had to talk to the foreman. But, if there's a shortage of skilled labor, why do we have an unemployment problem or employment crisis? Where are the people that do this roofing working at? I believe they opened the borders, and I still can't figure out how this is working out. They've opened the borders ever since this whole crisis and nonsense started. Allowed all these people in, I think, to fill positions and do these jobs. Okay? So there's some kind of very bizarre plan going on here. Now, like I said, people have said, well, the people running the government just throw things out and this and that. And that could be done just to confuse us even more. But I do believe, irregardless what any politician states, his platform and everything else, there is collusion. Okay, because there's so many seats. And you can have a guy from an area that all his constituents want him, and he stands there and becomes vocal. There's going to be no gun control laws. There's going to be this. I'm going to push a bill to force immigration and everything and that. And he will keep his elected seat, more or less. Okay, he's doing what his constituents want. But if they know before they even pass the vote, where everybody agrees, he could say whatever he wants. The bill either doesn't go through or does, okay? And it's known in advance. They know before they bring it to the floor. So your representative can say whatever the hell he wants. I believe there's total collusion with everyone in the government to allow all this weird stuff to happen, and it all is falling along a plan, okay? To where this country is being dismantled little by little, okay? You know, the economy, the job situation, all this stuff. And also our society. The key is people. People are not working together. They're, you know, like, you know, say you agree with me and say, oh yeah, this is all corrupt, this is all wrong, they're doing this and that. Well, how do you stop it? Okay, the mechanism that we have in this country to vote, whatever, to stop this is not functioning. Okay, and like one individual told me I was talking to, how do you gather people to stand together against this? Okay, he goes, that's the key, is when our society lets us down. Okay, that is the problem. All right, so like I said, with these two things here, I believe they're connected, and I believe this immigration crisis is a solution to keep giant corporations like Walmart and McDonald's and all your fast food places filled with employees that will work. Okay, because these huge major corporations, if they don't have people in there to work, they ain't making money. So something's got to be done, and I believe that's what it is. All right, so stay tuned, and I'll go on again in the next video, because all of this it's all interconnected and it's all very complex. Okay, and I just wanted to cover these two things first and speak my mind about it, and then I'll go on, you know, to another area and discuss something else. Okay, thank you.